I was never one to ask for help. I liked doing things on my own, whether it was fixing the faucet or moving furniture. But something about that day was different. My back had been aching for days after moving around the guest room furniture to make space for an old armchair I found at a thrift store. The muscles in my lower back had tightened to the point where I couldn't sit or stand without wincing. I kept brushing it off, thinking it would go away. But it didn't. My husband Mark was away on a business trip in Seattle, and the house felt unusually quiet. That left me and his 21-year-old son Brandon at home. Brandon was in his third year at college, but had decided to spend the semester taking online classes so he could help his father with some family business. He wasn't just my stepson anymore. Over the years, he had become more like a friend to me. We had grown comfortable around each other, the kind of ease that takes years to build. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon when I finally gave into the pain. I was sitting on the edge of the couch in the living room trying to twist and reach the tight knot in my back with no success. Brandon came downstairs barefoot and in sweatpants, holding a bottle of water. He gave me a curious look as I rubbed the small of my back and let out a low groan. "You okay, Claire?" he asked, concern immediately flashing in his eyes. I gave him a weak smile. "Yeah, it's just my back. I think I pulled something while moving the guest room around." He set down his water bottle and walked toward me. "You want me to help? I can try to massage it out if you want." I blinked, surprised by the offer. "You know how to do that?" He shrugged a little. "I helped one of my friends who had a shoulder strain from baseball. I'm not a pro or anything, but I can give it a try." I hesitated for a moment. It felt a little awkward asking him, but the pain had made me desperate. "Okay," I said finally, "just on the lower back." I turned around and lay face down on the couch, using a throw pillow to cushion my head. Brandon pulled over a small ottoman and sat down behind me. I felt the light pressure of his fingers through my shirt, carefully tracing the tight spots along my spine. He started slow, applying gentle pressure, and surprisingly, he seemed to know exactly where to press. I flinched a little when he hit the sorest spot, and he paused. "Too much?" he asked. "No, that's actually perfect. Just don't stop," I said with a grateful sigh. He chuckled softly. "You're just like Dad. He always says that when I'm trying to help him crack his back." We both laughed, and the tension in the room eased. It wasn't just my muscles that were relaxing, it was the whole atmosphere. It felt like a rare moment of connection. We rarely had time to talk at length with his busy class schedule, and me working part-time at the clinic. We hardly sat down to chat like this. After a few more minutes, he said, "So, what were you even doing in the guest room, moving heavy stuff by yourself?" I grunted. "I found this old chair, and I thought it would be perfect for reading. Didn't think I'd end up injuring myself in the process. You should have asked me. I would have helped," he said genuinely. "I didn't want to bother you." He pressed another knot, and I winced again. "Claire, you're never a bother." I hope you know that." There was sincerity in his voice that made me pause. I turned my head slightly to look at him. "That's sweet of you to say." He smiled, not in the boyish, goofy way he usually did, but with something more grounded, mature. "You've always been there for me ever since you and Dad got married." I don't think I ever said thank you properly. I didn't know how to respond. Those words, simple as they were, carried so much weight. When Mark and I got married 6 years ago, Brandon had just turned 15. It wasn't easy blending families, especially since his mother had passed away 2 years before. I remembered how closed off he had been in the beginning, how he barely spoke to me, how he stayed in his room all the time. But slowly, with time, we found common ground over shared meals, school events, and quiet support. "You don't need to thank me," I said after a while. "Your family His hand stopped for a second, and then he resumed more gently. Still, I want you to know that it means something a lot. Actually, I let the silence hang between us for a while, my breathing easing as the pain in my back began to dull. Then something unexpected happened, not in a strange or inappropriate way, but something emotionally unexpected. Brandon's voice changed. Claire, can I ask you something kind of personal? I tensed slightly, but said, sure. He paused, thinking carefully. Do you ever miss being a mom? Like, do you wish you'd had your own kids? I turned my head and looked at him again. His eyes were searching mine for an honest answer. Sometimes, I admitted, but I don't regret anything. Life took its own path, and honestly, I feel like I got lucky. I got you. His eyes shimmered with emotion. I always wondered if you felt like you missed out. I sat up slowly, motioning that the massage could pause. He backed off respectfully and sat down beside me on the couch. I leaned back, my back sore, but a little better now. You know, I said, motherhood isn't just about giving birth. It's about showing up, loving someone even when they push you away. I may not have given birth to you, but I've loved you like you were my own. Brandon looked down, brushing his hand over his knees. You've been more of a mom than I ever expected. It just took me a while to realize it. My heart swelled at that. Not every blended family gets to this place. Some stay fractured forever, but here we were, connected, understanding each other in ways that mattered. Suddenly, he chuckled. Man, I didn't mean for this to turn into a therapy session. I just wanted to help with your back. I laughed. While you did that, and more. Maybe I should start charging. He joked. I'll pay you in leftover lasagna, I said with a wink. He grinned, the boyish charm returning. Deal. Later that evening, we ate dinner together, just the two of us. I reheated some lasagna I had made 2 nights ago, and we sat at the kitchen island talking about school, his classes, and what he wanted to do after college. I listened with pride as he spoke about internships, goals, and a possible future in digital media production. His face lit up when he talked about a documentary he was editing for one of his film courses. It amazed me how much he had grown from the quiet, grieving teenager I met to the confident young man sitting across from me, thoughtful, kind, and full of ambition. Mark called later that night, and we both talked him on speakerphone, updating him on everything from groceries to Brandon's massage skills. When the call ended, Brandon looked at me and said, "Thanks again, not just for today, but for everything." I reached out and gently squeezed his hand. "You're welcome." Always. That night, as I lay in bed with a heat pack on my back, I reflected on how healing sometimes comes in unexpected ways. I had asked my stepson for a simple favor, a massage, but what I received in return was so much more. It was understanding, connection, a glimpse of the bond we had built one step at a time.